after my past experiences that were not that good with composting, this no-turn system is brilliant, because if you just follow the rules, it works. You put in the things, follow the recipe, and wait, and that's it. You have to wait some time, but it's going to be so worth it in the end of the amount of labor saved, for sure. And for this year, that would be me. So I'm very happy that this method came my way, because I did do composting here at school with kids, just the kitchen waste, years ago, and it was, it was a messier process that smelled, had many more problems, and this has none of those problems. No critters, no smell, and no hard labor.
The system here at Wesley is different from what I've experienced in the past, in the sense of we're not having to turn it. Students aren't, piling, turning, or myself or my volunteers.
I can't imagine sort of a typical composting system here, and I think that's why we hadn't for so long. We do create a lot of food waste. So the idea of having to turn it regularly or tend to it daily was something we really couldn't do. And while it is that kind of 30 minutes twice a week that we do spend on it, that's the only time we spend on composting. I couldn't imagine something where there was an adult or a group of adults who had to do something every day or had to do something labor intensive. And the way it looks when we compost, I've done it in very fancy clothes on a day when I needed to. People have done it in heels. So it's the kind of thing that during the day you can come as you are and do the work. I would imagine that shoveling and turning massive hundreds of pounds of food waste would not be the kind of thing you could do as such, or that it would just be really hard to staff that happening. So no, I couldn't imagine this happening with a more labor intensive typical composting system.
I couldn't imagine with the amount of food that we're processing here, I couldn't imagine doing it the way that I do it at home, just because it would just be a lot of labor. Because I'm just for the food at my house, I'm the one that's pretty much in charge of it, and I have to go out there with a shovel and I have to get pretty sweaty and turn everything pretty regularly just to keep it healthy and keep it good. And I also, my suspicion is that this composter brand will perhaps be of a slightly higher quality than the one I'm creating. And it's really, it really is heavy work to work with a shovel and turn stuff. So I think this system, that's a huge benefit.
That would be a lot of work to turn the compost 5 times and to take it all out of the container and put it back in. I think kids would think it was very fun to shovel the dirt, but that it would be disorganized, very messy. Not all of it would get back in, and it would take a lot of effort that we don't necessarily, not that we don't want to do it, but we're limited by time.
I have compost at home that needs to be turned, and it doesn't get turned as much as it should. And I know that would be the case here too, if that was part of the big container. There would need to be something industrial involved, I feel like, and the fact that nothing is needed is amazing.
Thinking about time-wise their day and the times in which it would need to be turned, wow, overwhelming to think about how you could successfully do that with the amount of food waste that we are dealing with school-wide. So it would be really inconceivable.
One more thing I would say is that something like a compost pile that one of our teachers had at a previous school in another country, actually, that was just never going to happen here because aesthetically, pest-wise, and for all those reasons, that was just always going to be a no. But this system is beautiful, it's exciting, we've put signage up, and it is a focal point that you want to go over and see rather than something you're hiding in the corner that's gross.
What we do here in comparison to other composting systems that are a little more complicated or leave out certain foods that are not able to be composted in that method, I think would make this thing entirely so much harder than what it is. And I won't even really describe the program as being hard. I think that this is so streamlined and so simple that everybody really should be doing this.